Hello everyone, this is going to be a tag. I was tagged by Chase's Book Thoughts, and it is the no disclaimers tag, but I'm absolutely going to give disclaimers, because I'll try not to, but I like disclaimers. Anyways, let's get into it. So, unfortunately, for the first prompt, which trope, basically, am I not a fan of? I have the most unoriginal answer ever. In general, there's very few tropes I actively dislike, but the two I got are not exactly what you'd call original, and the first is kind of the antagonist whose personality is that they're evil. This has been done well exactly once, and it was in a kid's cartoon show, which was He-Man, because Skeletor, yeah!
Feel good. I like to feel evil. Oh.
Is the best. But anyways, in general, it's just they're not even hateable. Like, who vehemently hates Voldemort as an antagonist, or any other pure evil Dark Lord, who you want to pick? Voldemort's just the most famous. Even I guess apparently he's a lot more humanized in the Silmarillion. But who hates, Sauron? As, who picks, who's your most hated fictional character? Who says Sauron? Right? No one. I've never seen that ever in the history of books. I'm sure someone does, but it's much rarer compared to people like Kyle, or Joffrey, or Umbridge, etc. You know what I mean. This isn't an original answer. A lot of people pick this. I'm gonna say a lot of people also pick the Chosen One trope. I actually kind of like the Chosen One trope, okay? I find, I used to think I didn't like it, but then the characters who are, most good books that have a Chosen One, the Chosen One is one of my favorite characters most of the time. It's a situation that puts a lot of stress and conflict on people that leads to a lot of internal conflict. Obviously it has to be done well. If you have a poorly written Chosen One, then I don't like the Chosen One, but that's true of if you have a poorly written rogue or a poorly written animal companion, any trope poorly written is bad, but on average, I think I like well-written Chosen Ones more than well-written other tropes. Wow, it's a no disclaimer tag, and I'm talking more about the trope that I like. Whatever, I'm bad at this. So this no disclaimer tag continues with me not really picking answers, because number 2 is what authors do I find overrated / overhyped, and later there's going to be a question about my bookish pet peeves, and one of my bookish pet peeves is people describing books as overrated, because I think it's a really weird way to describe books when you think about what it implies. So if you think of the enjoyment of every book, I might, if I'm lazy later, I'll actually make a graph and put it here. But if you think of the enjoyment of each book as a bell curve, where you've got people over here who have it as their favorite book ever, and there's very few of them, and people on this side have as their least favorite book ever, and there's very few, and then most people are somewhere in the middle. It might be skewed more to this side, it might be skewed more to the other side. What I think most people say when they say a book is overrated is they're on the side of the bell curve that has it as one of their least favorite books ever. Overrated, though, seems to imply that the rating it gets is too high. So it's the implication that the entire bell curve should be shifted more towards liking the book less, which seems really weird for me to call a book that, or for anyone to call a book that, because it implies that everyone else, the other people who read the book, which resulted in the bell curve of enjoyment, were wrong in how much they liked the book, and that they should have liked it less. So if I ever say a book is overrated, you can call me out on it, because I don't actually mean that. I think it's the wrong word to ever use to describe books. Overhyped, I think I could see as technically possible, because the way basically overhyped would be if there was a series where the people who love it the most, who are on kind of the side of the bell curve of enjoyment of close to their favorite book ever, are just much louder fans than other fans are. I think an example of this is Murderbot to me, like, I mean, even then, though, it's like, can I really say someone is wrong for hyping a book they're super enthusiastic about? So, I'm going to say books, I'm going to change this question and answer books that didn't live up to the hype for me. And my answer is All Systems Red by Martha Wells, which I liked. It was fun. The hype was that it was like, it just won an award, and a lot of people have it as like the character Murderbot is like one of their favorite characters ever, which it doesn't contend that for me, and I find the side characters in that to be somewhat mediocre. It's just the main character's fun, the story's fun, it's easy to get into. So I'm gonna say it didn't live up to the hype. Another book series that kind of didn't live up to the hype would be Book of the Ancestor. But again, like, if I were to say Book of the Ancestor is overrated, am I implying that anyone who watches this video who loves Book of the Ancestor is wrong? Like, I know Brent watches some of my videos. He's active on Discord, and he loved Book of the Ancestor. If I say Book of the Ancestor is overrated, am I then implying that Brent was wrong to, like, love Grey Sister? That seems weird to me. So anyways, I'm not answering the question very well. I'm bad at this tag. We're moving on. So the next prompt is, what is my least favorite book I've read since joining BookTube? And we have one I actually have an answer for. And, I had a least favorite books of 2020, and it's that. It is, of course, Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind, which I read because some people seemed to really enjoy it and said it was great. And I was like, screw it. I've got a few long drives. I'll do the audiobook. I listened to it over like 3 months, a lot of the time because listening to it longer was painful. It's pretty easily my least favorite book I've read since I joined BookTube. I forget if I gave it like 1.5 star or 1 star. It wasn't literally all bad. Like, I think it did some things fine. But, I've gone about this book at all, but I didn't really like the characters except for Zed, who was the wise wizard. I think it has some slightly nonsensical pacing. I found the writing style extremely redundant, where they just kept repeating information, even in like conversations, where someone in one, like, will just say basically the same thing differently twice, or where things that are just like obviously implied and said, and it's like, that isn't even the type of thing that normally bothers me, so for something like that to bother me, it has to be, like, really annoying. Like, in terms of the relationships for telling, not showing, by everyone just refers to each other as their friend so much that it's almost ruined the word friend for me in other books, where, like, now a lot of the time when people in dialogue say the word friend in books I like, I have to, like, tell my brain, like, no, it's okay to use that word as long as you don't use it, like, multiple times per page for the entire first 400 pages of a book. So yeah, that's easily my least favorite book I've read since I started BookTube. Second would be, like, Night Shadow, which was the second Greatcoats book, which I was not at all a fan of, but that's not close. Like, I'm not gonna if you ask me, hey, which book do you like more, Night Shadow or Wizard's First Rule? I'm gonna say Wizard's First Rule instantly. Anyway, so I finally have an answer to one. Yay! So, number 4, prompt 4, is what is a book that was overall good, but then had a terrible ending, which ruined it? And I saw a lot of people who did this tag just didn't have examples, because the other way around is a lot more common, like a slog of a book that's saved by the ending. But I kind of have 2.5. So the first one is not a quality book that was ruined by a terrible ending. It's a really fantastic book that I think ends up being a merely very good book because I wasn't a fan of the ending. And that was A Time of Dread by John Gwynne. I find in the ending, the enemies they have in there just feel about as intimidating as kittens. And everyone should have died. But that isn't nearly as the other two. The next two I have on here is we have... Hey, we're going to go back to authors that come up a lot for my books I didn't like. We have, I forget the name of book 5. We're doing it live. I have it right here. The Burning White. I remember it was book 5 of Lightbringer, but The Burning White by Brent Weeks. And unlike book 4, which I don't like any of, I like the first 75% of The Burning White, and I thought it was going to be a return to form for the author. And then the ending really killed it for me, where there's some really strange tonal decisions, consequences just feeling unimportant. It just keeps raising questions, and all the answers makes me like the book less, and like doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm not a fan of it at all, basically. There was one plot line which I thought was wrapped up fantastically. Every other plot line I couldn't stand. And then one more for this is Traitor's Blade, which I obviously am not the biggest Greatcoats fan ever, but I liked the first 2/3 of Traitor's Blade. Like, I like the first 2/3 of Traitor's Blade way more than the first 2/3 of Night's Shadow, which I think is a better ending. But then there's the 1-2 punch. Actually, it's like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 punch of Traitor's Blade that totally killed it for me. So we had Athalia, which is what I'm starting as the end. And then we have an entire sequence of, hey, look, there's an insurmountable problem. Oh, never mind. Just like, I don't know, 5 times, where it's like, oh no, we're screwed. And it's like, you know, it's when they're on a TV show, and this has happened in Doctor Who, where like it cuts to the end of part 1, and it looks like, you know, the Doctor and everyone have no way out, and like, you know, in between weeks, like when waiting for the next part, I'd be like, oh, how are they gonna get out? Are they gonna do something clever? And then it's just like, easily gets out. Did this egregiously over and over again. If there was a Ryan George pitch meeting for Traitor's Blade, if this was adapted to film, they'd have to say super easy, barely an inconvenience like 7 times. I didn't love Traitor's Blade before the ending, but it turned what would have been like a 7.5 out of 10 into barely a 5 out of 10. I couldn't stand the ending. Of the 3, it was the one that was the most ruined by the ending, and was my least favorite ending of these 3 books. Yeah, so that would be my answer for this. So I got 3, but the first one is kind of with an asterisk, because it didn't ruin the book. I still really like the book, but A Time of Dread could have been one of my favorite John Gwynne books, and the ending kind of made it middle of the pack on the John Gwynne scale. By far my favorite of the 3 books I talked about, though. And I mean, 5 is which fictional character. I'm obviously not going to answer it, right? I've seen this for every tag. No one has answered this. Like, I don't know where this tag started, but I think it's pretty clear I can't answer that. Right? Like, it would obviously spoil something. And honestly, I would probably struggle to come up with an answer anyways. I'm in the camp that I'm usually the other way around, where I want characters have more consequences for their actions to maintain stakes. So, I honestly can't think of any, and if I could think of any, I wouldn't tell you, because, you know, most characters I think who came back, I'm more likely to think they should have stayed dead. I mean, if it was which character lived who should have died, I still can't answer it, because it spoils someone lived, but I would have answers. Anyways, that was easy. Except I mean, like everyone else who did this tag, I'm not going to answer it. I haven't seen a single person do it, because, I mean, obviously it would spoil something. Yeah. Number 6 is, what are your bookish pet peeves? And we go from hard to answer to I can't fit all of them in this video. So, we're going to go pretty rapid fire. Fake stickers. X meets a Game of Thrones. People saying books are overrated, because I don't like that word for books. Covers for different series that like change in style throughout the series, so not thematically like consistent covers. When people say this book isn't like normal fantasy books that you've read about modern fantasy, about every book, like it's an extremely diverse genre at this point. Most books are not like other fantasy books you've been reading, and it bothers me too when people say it about like relatively classic fantasy stories. Like, I love The Faithful and the Fallen. The Faithful and the Fallen is not super unlike other fantasy stuff you're reading. It's very good, but it's not that different. Okay, maybe I didn't have that many. I mean, and then I guess there would be a bunch of like book-specific things. One, like, you know, I've been over this, but chainmail being like paper, armor in general not being effective, really bothers me, because why are the main characters why is anyone even wearing armor, right? Like, if armor was useless, no one would ever wear it. So yeah, that one annoys me. So many. I have way more specific bookish pet peeves that bother me than I do like things that annoy me. When you have a series of giant books and trade paperbacks are almost impossible to find. Those mass market Mount Malazan books. Why? Having connected anyway. There's so many. Fake stickers twice because of how bad they are. Why are you a thing? Also, this book is incredible. Review to come. Yeah, so I guess that's what I got for bookish pet peeves. Probably have a lot more. For number 7, it is, what books do you feel deserve more recognition? And once again, there are so many. I'm going to say The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wong. A lot of these have some recognition. I just feel like they've read more. I haven't done a super good job of reading books that 200 people have read. Most of the books I've read are somewhat known because those are the books I see, so the ones I read. Anyways, so we got Sword of Kaigan. Hobb obviously has a lot of recognition. I'm still fully convinced that the only reason she isn't like GRRM, Sanderson, Jordan, etc. levels of popularity is her terrible titles, and that people read like Assassin's Apprentice expecting it to be like, have lots of assassin school and like being an action-packed thriller, and then it's like a slow burn character study, and then people go, oh, this is what I want, and then meanwhile all the people who want the slow burn character study don't pick it up because they see it's Assassin's Apprentice and also has a horrendous cover. For the US version, the UK version cover is great. The Burning by Evan Winter obviously has become popular and is a popular book, but I still absolutely love the crap out of it and want more people to read it. I don't know. I want almost all my favorite books to have more recognition. I want lots of authors. There's so many fantastic authors in the genre, and obviously, like, Sanderson contends for my favorite author, and I love Jordan, and I love Martin, but I feel like if I could make it so there were, 15 people with their level of success, I would do it for sure, because, I think they deserve it. Even, obviously, everyone in BookTube circles knows who Joe Abercrombie is. But, generally, if you look at Abercrombie's sales numbers, they're pretty low. He definitely, I think, deserves more. He doesn't even write my favorite genre. I'm not a huge grimdark guy. My favorite characters tend to be mostly good people, and I'm slightly more optimistic than Abercrombie. But he's just so damn good that, his books are great. So yeah, loads. Especially those ones included. Obviously, I want more people to read Alara, because it's my only why you should read video, but book 1 has 100,000 ratings on Goodreads, but I think when you compare it to the Sex of Dresden, there's one series that I want more people to read, and I haven't even read it yet, and that's Sun Eater by Christopher Rucchio, and the reason I want more people to read it is because a bunch of people, I think, rightfully praise Sanderson for his interaction and how well he communicates with readers, and say, I wish any other authors communicated with their readers with this well. I'm saying I want more people to read Christopher Rucchio, which I will soon, purely based on his communication with readers, in that he has a YouTube channel with updates to his books. He's active on some Discords. So if you are someone watching and part of why you really like Sanderson is how well he communicates with readers, and you want to support authors who do that, then go check out Sun Eater, which I will be reading soon. Probably sometime, pretty early while reading Wheel of Time, so July or August. Anyways, so I'm mentioning that as well. The 8th prompt is, what do you think of censorship and banning books? Don't do it. So now I'm supposed to tag other people, but I feel like everyone has already been tagged for this. I feel like I was the last person to get tagged for this tag. So I legitimately, I can't think of people who weren't tagged. So if you have a BookTube channel and you have not been tagged, both tell me that you haven't been tagged so then I can look forward to your response. And also, I guess go do it if you want to, or don't. Don't let me tell you how to live your life. You can do whatever you want. I'm not your boss, but I legitimately struggled to I'm going to tag Child of Honor on Discord or Pranav because he said he would start a YouTube channel and he hasn't. So do this video, Pranav, if you got this far in this one. Anyways, that's all I've got for everyone. Bye.